So this is a video on how to make an arrowhead out of a bottle bottom, and I'm using a fairly large bottle, 1.5 liters, of a brand of sake that we use around the house mainly for cooking. And this one, it turned out okay. I'm gonna show you the kind of the process as best I can. It does have some curvature. I probably could have went a little bit further deep, which would have made the length on this much smaller or shorter. Because there is some convexity. That the whole goal is to get rid of the convexity in the concavity. But there's some good flake scars in here. The notching could be a little deeper. You know, again, I'm not a master knap or anything, but I just wanted to give some inspiration and let you know you can do this. If nothing else, for decoration, I have made arrowheads that I've used, you know, on the straw bales and things like that. They work, even if they do have a bit of a curvature. They're just not going to be completely 100% accurate. But yeah, you can make arrowheads or points, usable points from glass, even ceramic, like what toilets are made of, right? Because there's a Hertzian cone, and you take advantage of the property of silicious or materials that have a lot of silica in it. So I'm gonna do a voiceover for the piece that I did here, and I'll do my best to explain some of these things. I'll put the link below for other resources and better nappers than myself. But you know, it's just a work in progress. It's been a long time since I've actually picked up the percussion and the pressure flakers. So I think it did okay. Once I was able to dial in and focus a little bit, it's everything started to come together. So I'm going to attempt to make a arrowhead out of a bottle bottom, and I'm actually using a large sake rice wine bottle, because they're pretty huge. They're pretty big bottles to use. I have done it out of red stripe bottles. Red stripe has pretty decent sized bottles. You could also do, because of the flaking or the fracture structure of porcelain, for example, breaks in, it chips in a particular way using a Hertzian cone, as they call it. You can use glass, which is actually pretty soft, relatively soft, but you can also use porcelain. And so yes, you can make an arrowhead out of bottle bottom, and these actually have a wider surface area. Now I'm going to most likely, I'm not very good at chipping arrowheads and talking at the same time, so I may do a voiceover just so I can concentrate on what I'm doing, and hopefully this goes pretty smoothly. But yeah, I mean, I've done this before. These bottles, I'm using Shochikubai brand classic Junmai sake bottle, and then they have pretty wide surface area. Regular beer bottles tend to be a little smaller. I'm not saying you couldn't do it out of those. It's just this adds more surface area for creating a really good viable arrowhead. So first thing we need to do is we need to get the bottle bottom out of here. All right, and this is fairly thick. All right, so I'm gonna go with this one first. I got two in case I make a mistake, because sometimes these can fracture and then you got to start over again, so on and so forth. So what I have is my little tools here, and I've done Flintknapping videos in the past, and again, I've done voiceovers with those because, again, Flintknapping takes a little bit of a concentration. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find a way to break the bottom out of the bottle, and I have certain tools that I can use. These here are like lug nuts, and I want to put these in as long as this big screw, this heavy screw here, bolt, I should say, this bolt. And I want to open up the bottle, and I'm gonna just plug these in here, heavy side down, heavy side down. Okay. Now notice I got a tarp. I'm doing this inside. It's best to do flint napping with a fan blowing across so you don't inhale any of the particles, the stone or the glass shards that can actually cause damage to your lungs because they'll rip them up. Best to do it outside. I do have a tarp, I do have carpeting, and then of course I'll vacuum when I'm all done because particles and chips do fly. But basically you put your bottle breaking elements in the bottom of the bottle, and what the idea is you want to kind of just shake it. Now I'm shaking it like this. It gets kind of noisy a little bit, but I want to shake this so I can get the bottom out of there. Hopefully we can do this and get a solid piece out of it. Okay, so that happened. We got a part of it, right? This might be workable. I think we can still do something with this. It's just going to pose some problems, but that's basically how you break the bottom out of a bottle. Okay, so we're going to do the other one here, and hopefully we have a little bit more success with that one. Let's set this piece aside because we will use that piece there. And then I'm going to put this in here. Like that. And then... that still wanted to break in half. But... we have some workable pieces, and this is kind of a green piece here. We'll see what we can do with this. Alright, so third time's the charm. We have, again, Shochikubai brand Jumai sake bottle. This is 1.5 liters. This is a huge surface area for chipping. So we're going to try to see if we can get a whole one out of this one. Hopefully it doesn't break for us. There we go. That popped right out as soon as I dropped in the big bolt. This big piece here. This just dropped, the bottom just dropped right out of it, like that. Okay, so this is what we want. This piece is a good enough piece to hopefully, and it'll be green, to actually make a pretty decent sized arrowhead out of. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of warm up with the other pieces before I get to this, because I only have one of these big bottles, but we'll get there. Alright, so we begin. There's a bit of a lip here that I want to try to get rid of. It might be hard to see against my jacket or whatever, but there's a lip that we want to make this as flat as possible, essentially. Okay, so I want to start to chip away so that this starts to become a flat disc. Right, so I'm taking my little bopper and just chip away. Like so. Alright, so I'm for demo purposes, I'm marking off a rectangular area, and the shaded parts is what is going to be my reduction. It's what I'm going to take away, so I end up with a rectangular, let's say a rectangular preform. A grease pencil is nice for demos, and you can see it easier. Hopefully that came across. So the areas on the side, I want to knock off with my copper bopper. I want to knock off one side, and then I'm going to turn it around and knock off the other side. And I'm just chipping away at it. I'm just doing downward strokes, just kind of glancing downward strokes to chip at it. I don't want to use a larger bopper or I don't want to hit too hard away from the edge, because I'll break my piece that way. So I just have to kind of nibble away at it. So I'm just continuing to nibble away, and we're going to continue to just kind of chip. I'm using a screen capture program, and the UI on this isn't very good for me to kind of scrub ahead without moving the area that I'm recording. So bear with me if you are just kind of listening for this. This is more of a kind of a visual demo than anything oral or audio driven. Um, so there's probably going to be some dead space, and unfortunately I can't at least record me chipping away, so it'd be something to listen at. So that's just really what it is. When I get to a place where I can scrub forward, I'll be able to do so. But the UI on the screen capture program I'm using isn't the best for that sort of thing just yet. So there's some sort of important points I want to share when we get there. So yeah, I'm getting close to where I want to end. I don't want to end right on the line. I want to give myself some margin of error, a little bit. It's easy to make mistakes. So as you can see, I'm getting close to the line, so that's good enough. So I'm just going to start chipping away at the other side. So I'm not going to go through that. I'm going to try to scrub ahead a little bit. So yeah, so now we're getting to the point where it is becoming more of a rectangular piece. And so this is where the kind of the cool action starts to take place. So that's the rectangular piece we want to start. That's our blank, rectangular blank, or preform, if you want to call it that at this stage. And so what I want to do now is I want to start to reduce mass and reduce some of the convexity or the domeness perpendicular or going across it. So I'm going to drive flakes that are going to on each side that are going to go across and meet in the middle. That's going to give some pretty nice flake scars. And you'll see um, how the Hertzian cone actually works. And the Hertzian cone is like when if you shoot a BB at say like a glass pane, it kind of makes a little kind of a hole that cones out. That's the cone that I'm talking about, and usually it's one side of it as opposed to hitting it straight on. I'm hitting it at an angle, and you'll see in a second. So it'll be like an eighth of that cone in its circumference. And so silicious stone gives a predictable break or predictable cones that way we can shape. So you can see there, that's a side of the Hertzian cone. So that's how we take advantage in flint knapping of the silica or the siliceous properties of certain materials like glass, porcelain, uh, chert, keokuk, um, obsidian, and flint. Among to name a few materials that can be used to make stone tips or stone points or pretty much anything. Some artists make just cool stuff like hearts and uh, uh, animal shapes and things like that. So there's some really good uh, nappers that are artists, and they use the siliceous property of different materials as their medium. So right now I'm just chipping away, just kind of carefully nicking the platform. So notice I'm abrading and then nicking the platforms, which is driving flakes across the surface. And the domed part is good to explain the Hertzian cone because the Hertzian cone wants to travel along uh, curves and ridges. Okay, domed curves and ridges. We've got a convex side on the other side that's we have to handle differently. So there's the flake scars that we're creating, looking kind of Flintstone-ish, which I think is cool. It kind of gets what gets me excited about
flint knapping. So now I'm going to the other side and I want to drive flakes across the other side. Now the size of my materials, and I'm abrading, I'm preparing my platforms. You gotta have a braid because otherwise, if you don't prepare your platform properly, the platform will become too thin or weak, and then they will crush on you. So you won't be able to drive a decent flake. So you have to prepare the platform, which could affect the width or the length of your finished piece. So you got to abrade, and I'm using a light abrader and a relatively smaller size copper bopper for this type of work. I have bigger ones, uh, but I don't want to overpower this piece. And notice, I just want to nick it, so that's why it takes me a couple of times to actually hit it. But accuracy and pressure is key. Accuracy and the amount of force that you're using, and sometimes the direction is key as well. So again, preparing a platform. I just want to drive flake straight across, back, and there. See, that's a flake that is there. You go. That's what a nice flake looks like. Now, that in of itself is basically a scalpel. Okay, that little piece that I let go. See, it's looking Flintstone-ish. I love it. That little piece that I let go would I've done it. You can debone a chicken with that or a piece. That's just a straight up blade. You could really cut yourself. So now I'm showing you what the platforms look like and why what I'm aiming for. I'm trying to hit those platforms, those rigid edges, just like that. So I don't want to overpower the piece, and sometimes it's more of it's not like a pulling motion. It looks like that, but I kind of also angling it inward towards my opposite hand, my left hand, right, to drive the flake across. Sometimes if you go straight up and down, like when we were just removing mass to shape it into this rectangular piece, that's when you just want to go up and down, all right, so that the flakes, you're still going to create a Hertzen cone or flakes, but they're going to be very, very, very short. Now I'm setting up platforms and I'm driving inward towards my other hand to create longer flakes. And obsidian and glass is very unforgiving. So it's a good practice medium, I believe, because at least bottoms you can, I used to work in the club scene, so I had always have almost unlimited access to big red stripe bottles, um, and various other types of bottoms that I could just practice on. I actually should be much more better at this than I am, but I moved to stone right away, but which is expensive to buy and order, and I haven't been able to track down any quarries nearby yet. But there's the finished piece, or at least where I'm going to stop at, and we're going to move on to the next section. All right. So what we have to do, there's a concave side, which is the one that's uh, curved under, and we want to go on the long side of our rectangle, and we want to remove flakes, short flakes, to kind of get at there's a flat plane within the middle of the curvature. Um, I probably should draw this out or maybe make another video to explain it. But what I'm trying to do is I just want to remove very short flakes along the length of our rectangular preform to kind of straighten it out. And so I'm looking to be able to set up platforms, and it's good to study the piece there, but what I want to do is I need to set up the platform so I can take flakes, short flakes, into the long side of the our piece here. And there's different ways over time. You learn different ways to hold it. Some people use gloves. Eyeglasses or eye protection is a must. Um, if you're in an enclosed place, it's good to wear some sort of, face covering to cover your nostrils and your mouth so you're not breathing in microscopic flakes like of glass and things, which is like asbestos. It can do murder to your lungs. and like I said, gloves, eyeglasses, and probably a face covering, or at least be outside, or have a good fan blowing across you. So I'm just trying to remove flakes on the link side, and then we're going to start to draw our another preform shape, and we're moving to drawing a rectangle. Now I'm not taking out as much as I want to because I only have one piece, bottle bottom. I've actually been saving that bottle of empty bottle of sake for a while, and I only had one. So if I break this piece, it'll be a while before I can kind of demo this again. So I'm being very ginger with this, and I'm not being as aggressive as if I had some more to spare in case I make a mistake and it breaks on me. So the end product may not be as flat as I'd like it to be, but I just wanted to again give some inspiration on that you can make a tool out of a piece of refuse like a glass bottle. So now I'm just drawing my rectangular shape, or excuse me, my triangular shape. I get my shape right. My triangular shape, just trying to make it so it's visible on camera. So that's going to be our arrowhead preform. All right, so I left out the part of where I chipped away at our rectangular preform to make a triangular preform. So I left that part out because the process is just the same. You're just making it into a triangle, and that's why I drew on it in the previous section. So in this section, I'm using what's called percussion flaking and excuse me, pressure flaking. Before I was using percussion, I was hitting with my copper bopper. Now I'm going to be using my percussion flaker using a copper tip and a rattan handle. So right now I'm holding it in a piece of leather. Here's our finished kind of triangular preform, and this is my pressure flaker. So I'm using pressure to knock off flakes. So the concept is the same as percussion flaking, except it's just on a smaller scale. All right. Notice I'm using leather pads to protect myself because I don't want to drive stone or glass flakes into the palm of my hand. That would be not be very smart. Um, and so again, you're just driving smaller Hertzian cones into your form to take away mass and to shape your piece. So, and also to sharpen. Like if I was taking this all the way down to a piece that I would hunt with, I would use this pressure flaking to make the edges really really sharp. So right now I'm just shaping it, but I just wanted to show you that yeah, it's important to get you some good leather pieces and be safe. And I'll provide some links on places where you can get these tools. You can make your own. Paleo Man Jim has an awesome flint napping channel. He's a professional napper. He explains very well. He explains a lot of the concepts. I've learned a lot from him. Again, as well as my instructors from the tracker school, Eddie Startnader and Julie. They have a very good video on 9-step napping. Their their take on how to get good at napping fairly quickly. And Julie demonstrates how to make an arrowhead out of a bottle bottom. So uh, I'm more or less regurgitating, but also demoing it at the same token, what I've learned from both of those very good, uh, strong nappers. And so now I'm switching to a leather piece that I've created and that I've used to drive longer flakes. And again, you got to be careful. You drive flakes into your fingers if you're not careful or respect it. So notice I've cut a divot into these stacked leather pad that I'm holding so that the flakes aren't stopped in my hand because you want the flakes that you're chipping off to go as far as they can. And I got this concept from Paleo Man Jim. And all I did was just take a bunch of vegetable tan leather and uh, cut out cut out the groove, and then epoxy them together. So it's just an idea. You can do that. You can still make really good tips, stone tips, glass tips without doing that. But I just went on ahead and did that. And the pressure flaker I made out of rattan and a copper nail. So you drive the nail into, a wooden dowel, and then you cut off the head of the nail, and then you can hammer it or sand it down into the point that you need. So it's fairly easy to make. All right, so here's the shape that we have for the most part. I mean, it would be serviceable, but I'm showing a tool that I use, and it's a piece of copper that I flattened, and this helps me kind of cheat to create like straight edges. Um, Again, you can do that by pressure flaking and just using your eyeball, but again, I think I learned this from Paleo Man Gym as well, just to kind of get this to shape, a perfect isosceles triangle, if you will. And for this, it kind of helps. I'm just kind of showing that you can create it. Just go to the hardware store, get you a bit of copper pipe, and just flatten it. And now you have a tool to help you shape your preforms. So I'm just getting it ready to probably make another pass and shape it some more with my pressure flaker, and then get ready for notching. All right, so this is the shape we're gonna go with, and again, I could take some more uh, concavity out of it, but I just wanted again just kind of do a quick demo. It's just something had been on my mind and just been cleaning up some stuff around the house, and so I'm like, let me go ahead and just use this bottle and make a video on how to make a arrowhead out of it. Right now, we're going to notch. I'm going to end this with notching. I like just making preforms because that could have, for the size of it, that's a pretty big arrowhead, right? Um, it's almost a spear tip, right? But I think it was good just for the size of this video. So right now, I'm just prepping it for notching. Notching in itself is an art form. It takes a lot of practice, and you do have to prepare your platforms properly. And I just have to flip it over each side and just keep chipping away uh, at different platforms. And it's best to have a longer tip, longer, narrow, or sharp tip for your notching. I haven't been able to prep my tools the way I'd like to. Makes a lot of noise to prep them, and uh, I'm just probably gonna have to make more tools. And I will do a redo of this video of a better project. But I just I can be a bit of a perfectionist at times, so I just say, let me just put something out there instead of waiting for the perfect time, because sometimes the perfect time never comes. So this is more or less the end of this video. I'm going to just notching this, and at the beginning you saw the finished piece. Again, for decorative piece and just for demo purposes, I think it turned out okay. Again, I'm doing this under, with the camera, and I'm doing a voiceover, and because it is, I'm just not a master napper like that. I can't talk and chip at the same time. I have to focus. So, anyways, I hope you found this inspiring. Again, check out the links below. Check out those master nappers that I've mentioned. Uh, Practical Primitive and Paleo Man Gym. I'll put the links below. If you find this inspiring, again, like, share, subscribe. Put a little something in the tip jar. Those links are below as well. So this is the finished piece. I'm just scrub ahead. So you can kind of see what I'm doing. You should know the tools that I'm using. And I'm using my notched or grooved leather piece. And that's to make sure the flakes fly longer and faster. So there's kind of how the notch is coming along right there. You kind of see it. Thanks for watching.